public benefits, which is what 187 dealt with, public benefits
for
illegal immigrants.
I thought that basically the position we had in New York was one we had to have in order to ensure public safety, which is why I emphasize that whatever people think of those policies, what they have to look at is the end result. How did it impact public safety? And the way it impacted public safety was massive decline in crime. I think if I had done something opposite of that, I would have had an increase in crime.
So it's still okay to provide public benefits to illegal immigrants?
I think those are very difficult practical choices that cities and states are left with because the federal government does not do its job. So you end up in a city like New York, I think I remember the numbers back then, with 400,000 illegal immigrants, of which the federal government on its best day can't deport more than 2,000. So now you have to come to some practical choice about what happens with the 398,000. And you better be smart enough to make a practical choice that reduces crime rather than increases it. It turns out that the practical choices that I made not only reduce crime, it reduced crime more than any other place in the country by about 5 times.
In fairness, a lot of the New York City view is very different from the California view because the California view is based on a land border, which is very hard to defend, whereas isn't it fair that most of the immigration coming into New York that's illegal is plane and boat, Guyana, Dominican Republic, Haiti, so that there's just a qualitative difference as opposed to a land border. Did that make it different dealing with Haitians?
I can't tell you that made the biggest difference. You're quite right. There was a very big difference. In New York, most of the illegal immigration, not all of it, would be people who came in generally legally and have overstayed. That would make up the majority of illegal immigration in New York, whereas here in California or Texas, probably different. Florida is probably a mix. Does that make a big difference in terms of your policies? It could. I mean, it could make a big difference in terms of your policies. But here's the reality. The local and state governments and employers can't be the scapegoats here. They can't handle it. They can't handle the volume. So they're going to make choices. They're never going to be good choices. The way to stop this is at the border. You can't deal with this within state and local governments, and employers can't deal with it when the numbers are this large. So now we have the capability, which actually, honestly, I didn't believe we had back in 1995 or 1985, which were the last 2 times I looked at it. We now have the capability of stopping it. We have photographic equipment, heat-seeking equipment. We can deploy the Border Patrol with a Border Stat program, which would be like my ComStat program. We can have a tamper-proof ID card. Our ability to process information is 100 times what it was back then. There's no point in not now stopping illegal immigration, having a rule that you have to be identified if you come into the country. If we do that successfully, this whole country is going to feel a very different attitude even about legal immigration. They're going to feel a more expansive attitude about legal immigration. We can control the part that is frightening us.
Thank you,
Governor. You gave an interview the other day where you suggested that we would be open to some bipartisan solution to secure Social Security that would include raising taxes. Maybe that didn't sum it up right.
No, you didn't. On 2 occasions I was asked during that interview, would I consider raising taxes? On 2 occasions I answered, I would oppose that. So I think I made it quite clear that I would oppose raising taxes. I think the first time I was asked, like in general, would you oppose raising taxes? I said, yes, I oppose raising taxes. Then I was asked quite specifically, would I oppose raising taxes for the purpose of straightening out Social Security? And I said I would oppose raising taxes to deal with Social Security. So I thought I made that pretty clear in the interview. I reread it last night. I would put together a bipartisan group and try to have them come up with 3 or 4 alternatives for how we can deal with Social Security.